Tonight on Wild Talk, Justin Lilley shares the journey from behind the passion, the pursuit, and life beyond the blind. Then, in a Father's Day special edition of Tools of the Trade, Ricky Ryan from Browning joins me to celebrate the connection between family and the outdoors. And later, on Outdoor Lens, Kyle from the Wild Sheep Society of BC brings the beauty of wild into focus. From the backcountry to the big stories, this is Wild Talk. Welcome to Wild Talk, the untamed voice of Canada's outdoors, where raw stories, real people, and wild places collide. This episode of Wild Talk is one for the books. Let's talk wild. Wild Talk, powered by Better Call Paul, is brought to you by Better Hunting, Better Stories, Better Call Paul. Umarex, Hunt with Air. Bronc Beer, Great Buckin' Beer. All right, everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Wild Talk. I am joined this week by somebody I've known for, we've known each other probably just over a year now, and we've finally had time to sit down and have a conversation here on Wild Talk. I'm joined by Justin Lilley. Justin, a huge thanks for making time for me today, man.
Steve, thanks for having me. I look forward to having some conversation with you. This is going to be good.
It really is, and let's get into who you are. Like, who is Justin Lilley? Tell me who you are, where you come from, where you call home.
Absolutely. So going way back to the beginning, I was actually born in Kelowna, BC. And then from there, as a child, moved back to Manitoba. That's kind of where most of the family was, right? And then I was actually put into foster care at a young age, and then adopted when I was 5. So growing up, I never really had a hunting background. I was never really around too many people that hunted. You know, my brother-in-law hunted, my brother hunted, but wasn't like, a very, very serious thing, So yeah, I did, some fishing now and then with my dad kind of thing growing up. But again, just never really got on fish or anything like that. It was just more so to go hang out with dad, on the lake, which is always a great time regardless. And then growing up, I just started finding my own way, if you will, just on what I wanted to do, right? Like, what do I want to do with my life? What does Justin Lilley want to do, if you will, right? So I started kind of looking around, after school kind of thing, what I wanted to get into. Was kind of thinking of going the butcher style route. And then my mom actually found a taxidermy type school, if you will. So she said, what about this? This is kind of in the wilderness, kind of thing that you want to pursue. You're all about outdoors at this point. So about 6 years ago, about 6 years ago, I'm 30 years old now, was my first time ever hunting, Steve. I never picked up a rifle, never picked up anything, nothing, right? If we seen deer out at the farm or whatever, it was always just to take a picture of, never even had a thought to really hunt it. So about 6 years ago, my brother picked up a bow, started doing a bit of archery hunting. And I thought that was so cool. Just to be able to shoot and hit his targets or whatever, did a lot of practice shooting. And I thought, that's cool. I want to get into that. So I went down to my local bow shop in Brandon there, and I picked up a bow, started shooting, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I spent pretty much all day for the next year after that shooting my bow, and not so much hunting, but just shooting it, right? Just loved it. Absolutely fell in love with it. After about 8-9 months, then the fall. It was fall time, which was archery in Manitoba. It starts end of August there. So I figured, you know what? Let's get a deer tag. Let's try to hunt a deer. So got my tag, and for the next month, man, I grinded hard. Probably the most hard I've ever grinded for anything. And it was just self-teaching myself the whole time, right? Everything from scent to wind, how the animals react to weather, how the animals react, all of that stuff. So I spent that whole bow season basically just learning and teaching myself. I never even got a deer that season. I had a few really good chances, and I'd be lying to say if tears weren't shed, but we we definitely had our chances. And you know what? It just fueled that drive even more, if you will. So after that, we decided, you know what? Deer season wasn't successful. Next up is spring bear, spring turkey. Let's give that a shot. So we decided to go for turkey, and dude, I fell in love with that.
Mhm.
What an incredible animal to hunt! With something that's so small but can be so smart. So I spent all of that season hunting turkey in the spring, and I finally was able to connect with my first turkey ever. It was a beautiful tom, and I was able to harvest him with my bow. And after that, man, that's what really set everything off. I was like, man, maybe I can do this. This is awesome.
So that was that little click there was the finally being able to connect with a turkey.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
what set it off and created the sickness, hey?
Yeah,
That's cool. I love that for you.
yeah, no. So that was kind of my first hands-on with any kind of wild animal. And then again, being successful, being able to harvest that, and then being able to eat that after, it was
Mhm.
really the full circle moment that kind of connected everything. After that, I was like, okay, you know, I can do this. Let's go out for wild boar now. So we actually hit up my good friend Kelly Redman out in Saskatchewan. We went out to North Battleford, and I was able to harvest my first wild boar. After that, I guess that was about a year or so of
Mhm.
hunting strictly bow only. And then that fall, I did my PAL course. Of course, had to wait for it to come in the mail.
Right.
So as I waited for that, I continued archery hunting, and I was able to get my first whitetail buck. Followed by that fall, I was able to get a fall bear. So couldn't be happier. It was a very very great year. And
No
then
kidding.
that following spring, my pal came in. So we got a shotgun, we got a rifle, and we started it all over again. Incredible, dude. Incredible.
You've had one hell of a baptism by fire, so to speak, right? From not having any sort of grown up around hunting to getting a turkey, a whitetail, and a bear all within 2 years of going. That's that's quite the kickoff there, man.
I
So go
That's
ahead.
pretty cool. No, I was just like to be
Yeah.
able, like I said, to get that and to never even see bears and stuff like
Mhm.
that. It's just not an animal you typically see just wandering around. So, yeah, like you said, it was very cool to be able to get all those in 1 year.
Yeah, that's so different than here when you say bears aren't typical to see wandering around. Like you kind of touched on the fact that you got introduced to taxidermy. So is that what you do now for work, or what's that? What's that?
Yeah. So or backing up, I should say, kind of got into, again, trying to find what I wanted to do. So there was actually a local taxidermy school in Manitoba. I don't believe it's operational anymore. But so I went out there, started learning how to mount a deer, all of that good stuff. Unfortunately, a few weeks into the course, got some pretty terrible news. I was up just after school one night. I got a phone call, and it was about my daughter, and
Oh,
it was kind of an emergency. Wasn't really sure what was going on, but I knew it was serious. So one of the girls from the school actually drove me to Neepawa, where I met up with my fiance. We went out to Portage La Prairie, which is a couple hours away. Middle of the night, and just something wasn't right with my daughter. She went in that day for blood work, and before she was even home, they called her back, said something's not right. You need to come back. And that evening, we found out that my daughter had leukemia.
oh
So
man.
it was about a week after her fifth birthday, is when we found that out. So obviously, how do you react to that? No one, that's not something you can prepare for ever.
No.
So that basically ended the taxidermy and just everything. Life was on hold at that point, for the next about 3 years or so. From there, we basically lived at Ronald McDonald House in Winnipeg at the hospital, Children's Hospital. And I call her my miracle child because, against all odds, again, we don't know how, but she made a full recovery, and man, you look at her now, she's a healthy 10-year-old girl. You would never be able to tell that she was sick. So that was kind of definitely something we just couldn't plan for, right? Like, how do you,
Mhm.
right? So after that 3 years, life kind of started trying to get back into a routine, into somewhat of a normalness. So that's when I kind of started getting back into the taxidermy. A lot of it was just reaching out to friends and fellow taxidermists in the area at that point, and just kind of, look, man, I wasn't able to kind of finish my course, but I'm pretty sure this is how you do it. Do you mind giving me a few tips? And then from there, honestly, it was basically 2 years of just a lot of trial and error. Um, Mainly my own animals, obviously, but that just kind of was able to teach me or myself how to do deer, how to do full body mounts, how to tan, all of that good stuff. And then from there, I opened my taxidermy shop to the public full time, and I've been doing that now for about 4 years. And just last February, so just over a year now, I opened a tannery side of the shop as well, and it's just incredibly how busy it is in there. It's keeping me on my toes, man.
What a 180. Like, I'm so glad to hear that your daughter is
Thank you.
doing well. I've got a 13-and-a-half-year-old myself, and I know, God, it doesn't even compare, but she was probably 3. She had to go in for a minor surgery, like not even a day surgery, and we were just beside ourselves. So I can only imagine what you went through, and that's quite the scrapper you got there, man.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
here's your chance. What's the name of your taxidermy and tanning business?
So it's simply Justin Lilley Taxidermy, located in Carberry, Manitoba. Like I said, we do all tanning, all taxidermy, all that good stuff. So yeah.
That's good to know. It's so hard to not only find a good taxidermist, but even harder to find one that tans their own goods. Let's dig into the TV side of things, right? We got a background about you, how you got into hunting, what you do for work. What point did you say, you know what? I might want to do TV. What made you go, that's what I want to do?
So you know what? Again, and we were just talking about this the other day. Me and my crew. I said, you know what? I did not see this in my bingo cards for
I feel
2020.
you. I feel you.
But yeah, no, looping back. So basically, what kind of started the whole hype, if you will, to everything was last fall. I had Manitoba wild boar hitting my camera every night, every evening. Boom, boom, boom. So you know what? I started baiting. I started baiting hard, and I had those pigs like clockwork, man. So I figured, you know what? I'm gonna go out there. We're gonna sit. We're gonna shoot a pig, and that's gonna be awesome. I think your first Manitoba wild boar. So I went out with my cousin the first night. He sat the cut line. I went into the bait and just sat. Wasn't 15 minutes, and I heard 6 shots. So I'm like, oh, I
Something's going.
maybe he got one. I don't know. So give it a few minutes. Ended up walking out, and sure enough, he ends up shooting 3 of them that just crossed the line, like right there. So
Gee.
that was really cool. They weren't the biggest pigs, 120 to 150 pounds maybe, but perfect eaters, right?
Mhm.
So grab those, and then we could hear pigs still in the bush, so we knew they were still in the area. So I came back at first light and sat all day. Not one pig came, man.
Of course.
So I'm like, you know what? There's an hour left of light. I just don't feel it. I'm gonna go home. I've been here all day. I forgot lunch. I'm just gonna get out of here. So I walk out of my stand and everything. Get back to my vehicle. Start driving out. It's about a 20-minute drive home, and about 10 minutes of that is going through like a turkey trail through a big section of Crown land. So I'm going down this section, and I look out to my left, and we got about 30-35 minutes of light left. So you can still see. But I'm blind, Steve. When I'm not wearing my glasses, man,
Yeah.
I'm blind. So I look out my window, and I see this big, black, stocky kind of thing about 100, 150 yards away, just standing there. Oh, cool. Whatever. Must be a cow or a bear or something.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's no cows here. Wait a minute. Why would there be a bear there just standing there? So I get out of the vehicle, get to the back, all my gear's already put away, get my binos out. Sure enough, it's a wild boar just standing out in the field, man, just grazing, rooting around. So I
Hmm.
grabbed my rifle and the wind was perfect. So I was able to sneak up to this little clearing about 50 yards away from this hog, man, and bang, let him have it. He takes off. I didn't hear impact. I didn't hear squealing, nothing. I thought I missed, honestly.
Yep.
So I'm like, whoa, like what just happened? So, and he ran into a marsh with cattails higher than my head. I'm a 6'1" guy, and they were still higher than me. So I start walking around, and sure enough, there is a dead pig right there, right there. And so I walked up to him, and it wasn't just a dead pig, Steve. It was a 460-pound wild boar
Jesus.
with 7-inch cutters on him.
Wow.
Dude, I'm still blown away thinking of it.
No kidding.
So I tried rolling him over. I tried I could not budge him. So I had to go back to the vehicle and I actually had to drive back home, get my winch and my
Mhm.
fiance, drive back to the boar. And even with me and her pulling that thing, it was next to impossible. It ended up breaking my 800-pound winch. And, but we got it on the scale and we got it back to my place. One of the best hogs to this day I've ever eaten. Incredible.
All right, everybody. This segment of Wild Talk is always one of my absolute favorites. It's the tools of the trade, where we get to bring you some cool items that are used out there in the field, some stuff that's coming to stores soon. And I've had this guy on before. It was a great conversation. And just in time for Father's Day, I'm going to bring him back. I've got Ricky from Browning. Once again, a huge thanks for joining me today, Ricky.
Hey, Steve, it's great to be back.
Yeah, last time we had a couple of fun conversations, talked about some great stuff that was hitting the market, and we got something coming up fun from you guys just in time for Father's Day, as I said,
Yeah.
the Winchester Ranger. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's exciting. The timing is perfect, right? So that Ranger should start hitting the stores in the next 2 weeks or so. Essentially, it is a 22 rimfire, made by Winchester, obviously. The Ranger looks very much like the Model 94s that your dad, my dad might have had, our grandparents, our great granddad might have had. So very well designed, walnut stock, barrel band, just looks like the classic Winchester. When you think Winchester lever, this is
Mm.
what this looks like. So it's exciting to see that it's coming in at a rimfire, and it's going to be priced fantastically, very affordable. And so we're very excited to see it at the stores and just in time for Father's Day.
Yeah, I remember the first firearm I ever shot was an old lever action 22. Couldn't tell you what it was, but I just spent so many hours plinking with it. There's so much fun. You get the loop, and you can just work the action back and forth. So what makes this rifle stand out from all other rimfires?
In the market, well, like one of them for sure would be the fact that it's a Winchester, right? When you think lever, you think Winchester, so
Mhm.
that's one thing. But it comes apart. So there's one screw that will basically take the rifle in half. Two advantages to that: one is cleaning, right? Easier clean, because then you can go from the action to the end of the barrel instead of the other way, which most levers would require. The other part is for storage, or if you're carrying it somewhere, right? Quad, horseback, right, vehicle, just easier to store it when it's in two pieces.
So it's
um
kind of like a takedown.
yeah, essentially, yeah.
Oh,
So look at the Model 94 takedown. Yeah,
that's insane. Like,
yeah,
it's already a
very,
small enough platform, and you're
yeah,
making it even smaller.
yeah, yeah. So just one of those added features, kind of serves dual purpose. Probably the other thing compared to other levers, other rimfire levers in the market, is our receiver is one piece aluminum alloy, where most of them are two or three pieces. So it's just more rigid, more stable, just a better built gun.
And so that makes it even lighter as well.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Yeah. So it comes in I think about 5.4 pounds. So it's pretty light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see one of these in person. I know we've been waiting for the drop on these for a little while now, and it's exciting. It's actually here. So a lot of people, myself included, connect the 22 to their first hunting target shooting memory. And do you think the Ranger's going to carry that kind of nostalgia through for
100% it will. 100%. I could just see it being, you know, you buy it for your son or your daughter, right? They use it for the next 10 years, and it will probably end up in the hands of their children if they have some in the future. So it's definitely going to become an heirloom piece for a lot of families, I think.
I I I certainly think so. I
Yeah.
can't wait to get my hands on one. I know we've talked about it before, but it's closer day by day, day by day. It gets here, and I'm gonna have to be able to find one. Right, that'll be the other thing, right? Is it like a limited drop, or is it going to be stores everywhere?
The first drop is going to be limited, and then the next one will be a little bit heavier, and so on and so on. So I suspect that the first drop will probably sell through before they hit the stores once customers find out. But I would say in a couple of weeks, it should be a substantial volume out there.
Excellent. So, if you had to pick one favorite feature about this, what is it?
Ooh.
I know,
Hmm.
no pressure. Okay, you can have a
Honestly,
few.
as odd as this is going to sound, I wouldn't call it a feature. I'd say the aesthetics for me. Because when I
Right.
see it, it reminds me of any 94 that I've had. You know what I mean? And you know, like the shape of the stock is very much nostalgic. You know, just yeah, for me, I would say it's probably that I love the most. Second one would be the fact that it comes apart, the cleaning thing for me, right? You know, like some of the other lever 22s, like our BL22, doesn't come apart. I'm just not a fan of pushing things back into the action.
Hmm.
So I'm excited about that part. You know, that comes
No
apart.
kidding.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, by the time this airs, it's going to be in stores. So, Ricky, a huge thanks for joining me again. I cannot wait to see the redo of the 94, right? This is going to be fantastic. And I can't wait to, as I said, get my hands on one and pass it on down to the grandkids. Thanks, Ricky.
Protect Steve. Thank you.
Welcome back to more Wild Talk, everybody. I always love sitting down with this guy, not just because of who he represents, but because of who he is as a person. He and I have been friends for, man, 10 some odd years now. I just checked Facebook and it said happy friend anniversary, whatever they do. And we knew each other before that. So I've got Kyle once again from the Wild Sheep Society of BC joining me for this segment. Kyle, huge thanks, brother.
Oh, Steve, thanks for having me on, and I always look forward to this. And you know what? We're buddies. We never get to hang out. So, hey, if we have to do it on the air, so be it. Whatever.
It works for me. It works for me. It's a lot cheaper this way. So I know the society has some fantastic things that are ahead, and one that I really want to touch on. I can let you roll into it. There's something to do with the Wildlife Act. This is a big one.
Yeah. So, as you know, the Wild Sheep Society BC is always advocating for wild sheep, and we're putting our money on the ground for conservation, and then working with government, trying to so get policies and that will support wild sheep conservation. And what we're always struggling with is domestic sheep. And
Mhm.
as many people know, domestic sheep are a vector for disease for wild sheep and have caused mass die-offs. Two recent wins that we're pretty excited about. It's not a huge one, but they made a minor change to the Wildlife Act review that now, if a domestic sheep is on Crown land, they have the ability to remove it. A CO can go out and dispatch it and get rid of it because obviously it's a huge threat to wild sheep. They couldn't do that before. And in fact, before, somebody had the ability to go and release their domestic sheep on Crown land, and it wasn't a fence. Now it is. So, minor win there. It's not going to solve all of our problems, but at least there's recognition now that domestic sheep are challenging. It's in the Wildlife Act review, and they can do something about it if there's wild sheep or there's domestic sheep in wild sheep habitat on Crown land. So a win there. And that wouldn't have happened without the advocacy and support of our membership and people making noise about it because government's so reluctant to do anything
Mhm.
about that.
And this shows that your voice does matter. And if you go back far enough, the origins of the society was for this very thing, is the disease. So it may seem like a small thing, but it's 30 plus years of advocacy to get here.
100%, Steve, and you're exactly right. Like pre 1990, there was 2,500 sheep on the Fraser River, and in 2020 there was 800. So 65 to 70% die off at the hands of Mycoplasma ovoid pneumonia, and the vector is domestic sheep. So small steps, and we just keep banging that drum. And again, if you think your voice is never heard, it is, and this is a scenario where it shows that and it is a small step. There's a lot more work to be done, but it's a good first step. And then one thing I just recently learned, we've been advocating for sheep separation policy for domestic and wild sheep provincially, and there's just been this reluctance to do it. Well, finally, we've heard that the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Walrus are releasing a pilot project to deal with this sort of thing. It sounds like they're targeting the Granby area, is what we've heard. And so another small step, it's not going to be binding in regulation, but it's going to be a pilot project where, at least it's a first step. So, it's that first step, and then where does it go from there? So, we just got to keep working every day, get up every day, work hard, and push for the needs of wild sheep. And these small changes hopefully add up to something that's going to be meaningful down the road.
Well, they do add up, right? We just talked about it there with the Wildlife Act change. Those tiny little steps that you may think you're climbing a big hill, like when you're sheep hunting, you take that one step up, you slide one back, but you eventually get there with the years and years of advocacy. So we got to keep it up. We really truly do. And you guys have always got so much exciting stuff coming down the pipe. And there's the Summerland count, right?
Yeah, exactly. So one thing that we've been working hard on, I mentioned the Fraser River and that massive die-off. We've been doing a test and remove project. It's a $2 million project. That's where our money goes, that among 20, 30 other projects across the province. But that's our biggest one. It's a $2 million project. We're into it for now. Year 9 of 10. And we do summer lamb counts on the Fraser River. And it's really important because we can see what our lamb recruitment's doing. So we do go out and we do counts in June, July, and August. And if the lambs are dead in August, there's Movi on the landscape. So really important. This is an opportunity for our members and supporters to get involved. So if you're interested in doing some conservation work, volunteering, this is a great opportunity. We've got 3 dates this year. We've got June 12th, July 11th, and August 8th. And this is critically important. It's not just a fun time. It is a fun time, but it's not just a fun time. It's getting on the landscape, doing something meaningful for wild sheep. Those counts are critical information that the biologists use to make decisions on whether or not they need to go back in and treat for Mycoplasma ovoid pneumonia. So if you're interested, you can go over to our website, wildsheepsociety.com/counts. And that will get you to the page and you can sign up, and then we'll send you more information on it. So completely free. It's a bit of a drive up to the Fraser, but it's a beautiful time of year. It's on a Saturday, and there'll be tons of Wild Sheep Society people out there doing the good work for wild sheep conservation.
And let's wrap it up with my favorite thing that sets the Wild Sheep Society apart from all of the other organizations, the prescribed burns. A lot talk about it. You guys get it done. What's coming on the front with that?
Yeah, honestly, it's really exciting. We've been really working hard on stone sheep recovery in prescribed burns in Northeast, the Peace region of BC. Helicopters are in the air this weekend, and they're treating with prescribed fire, restoring habitat for healthy habitat for stone sheep, putting more sheep on British Columbia's mountains.
That's so amazing. So final call to action. Where does somebody learn more about the society and how do they get involved?
Get over to wildsheepsociety.com. We'd love to have you as a member. Super cheap to sign up, but you're making a difference for conservation, and you're really making a difference on the ground for wild sheep and other species within British Columbia.
And everything we just talked about in this segment shows that your dollars are on the ground. So a huge thanks to you, Kyle, for joining me once again, and a massive thanks to all the members that get involved and make their voice heard.
And thank you, Steve. Thank you, Wild TV. You guys rock.
It's been cool to watch the evolution of the storyboarding, we'll call it, and then the rough videos that you were sending, then kind of talking our way through what needs to be in a show and getting to see some of the stuff already. It's cool. I'm excited to see where it goes. So that what was your reaction? I guess probably very similar to mine, of realizing that this is becoming a real series. Like, this was just, to me, it was like, here, do you want to do this? And I went, oh my God, sure, let's try it out. Here I am 3 years later. So was that same sort of thing for you? It was like a
Pretty
wow moment?
pretty much. So I would say it's kind of another full circle moment,
Hmm.
oddly enough. So growing up, when I was, geez, 12, 13 years old, me and my brother did weekly YouTube videos. Uh,
Okay.
and at one point we were 11th most viewed in Canada. So we got like little badges from YouTube and stuff. We did the weekly YouTube thing. It was really fun until my brother didn't want to do it anymore. And me being the editor, the camera guy, the director, I was everything but the actor, right?
Yeah.
So I can't do it all at that point. So we shut it down, but I still had the cameras that we invested in. I still had the editing programs, all of that. So I figured, you know what? I might as well open up some kind of a videography company or something, right?
Hmm.
So I started Justin Bolak Videography was the company back then, and I just did little commercials for companies, promotions. Social media then was just kind of taking off in the world, so a lot of just kind of social media promos, stuff like that, and did a fair amount of traveling, back and forth to Alberta with that gig and whatnot. I filmed for the WHL for a while, the MJHL, just kind of getting out there, right? As much as I can, learning as much as I can. And then from that, I got into music, oddly enough. My brother was signed for a year with Sony Music. So he was touring all over the place doing music. And he said, look, man, I need a DJ. I know you kind of do some DJing at house parties here and now. Do you want to be my DJ? So, okay, sure. So went on tour with him, ended up touring for the next year and a half. But that helped me learn the whole audio production side of music and all that. Right.
Right. Right.
So now I have knowledge on audio. I have knowledge on editing and videography and all that. And then again, fast forward to my hunting. Well, I can hunt. Let's put it all together. Let's see what happens. And that's kind of how the slow evolution of Beyond the Blind hunts was created,
Hmm.
by that. So that was really cool. And then, like you said, just the from okay, let's do a TV show to oh my, there's a lot more than just film and put it on. So definitely a lot, just from episode 1 to episode 7, everything is always just increasing, and we're constantly learning, we're constantly getting new gear, and I think that's what's going to make the show kind of stand out a little bit on itself. We're
Hmm.
always trying to do better. We're
Yeah.
not we're not happy with a status quo, right? So
Which is so important. You see it, unfortunately, over the years, that a lot of shows, no matter what genre they're in, they just get complacent and they stick with the same formula, and people just go, you know what? I know what's going to happen next episode. I know what's going to happen next season. And you touched on real briefly there that you want to learn and continually improve. And I think that is what's going to keep you growing. And that's so important in this industry, as we start to see a lot of content creators out there. So, how did you come up with the name Beyond the Blind? That's something we've never talked about.
honestly, man, we were brainstorming about the series. Obviously, me and my fiance, she's the co-host,
Yeah.
and we just kind of figuring out. First, let's talk about what the show's going to be about, how we're going to wrap it up, and make it a full circle moment. Because we want to show everybody, hey, this is not only a hunt you can do, but this is something all ages can do. You don't have to be an avid hunter. You don't have to, be hunting your whole life to do some of these stuff. A lot of this stuff, it's a first time for myself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So we're trying to show that hey, you can do this. And then my fiance is kind of really taken on the role of wrapping up the episodes with a cooking segment. So whatever wild game or meats that we hunt or fish for, she ties it all in. She'll show you how to clean it, how to cook it, and I think that's very important, because I think a lot of people are not necessarily maybe scared, but maybe nervous to try hunting or fishing for
Hmm.
the first time, because simply they just don't know. They don't know what to do with the animal when they've got it. And so I think it's going to be important to show people that. Again, I'm no professional, where a lot of this is first for me, but I think that's important to be able to show the viewers that, hey, this, you don't have to be hunting 15 years to, to come do some of this stuff. So
Talk about some of the shows we're going to see this season. I know you've done everything from whitetail to mountain hunts to sturgeon fishing. Like,
So
talk about that.
it has been absolute full time doing this. Again, I had no idea the amount of time filming an episode for a TV show took. Time, people, everything. So for season one, we wanted to have a good variety of animals, of fishing trips, stuff like that. So in season one, the premiering episode is going to be a bison hunt with my bow. So I think that is going to be pretty cool. That's kind of a dream hunt of mine my whole life. Obviously, bison is absolutely incredible, and I thought that, what, I started my hunting career, if you will, doing archery. I
Mhm.
want to be able to harvest my first big game. And what not bison is kind of one of those animals that you think of and you're like, wow, that is iconic, so to me, that was a very cool hunt. So we did the bison hunt. We have sturgeon fishing in BC. We have pheasant hunting in Alberta. We have wild boar in Saskatchewan. We have bear hunting in Manitoba, elk and moose. It's a packed season, man. So
It
it's
really is.
cool.
So what one of those hunts would you say has tested you physically the most?
Oh boy. Yeah, so there's definitely been a few rough ones. Probably moose hunting would be up there. We had a few really good days, but they were followed by some pretty rough days, like nonstop wind, nonstop rain, and actually expanding on that thought, just this week in Sylvan Lake, we got caught. A storm rolled in, and
Oh
we
man.
barely just made it off the lake in time. And so that is going to be probably one of the more intense episodes of the season, as far as just, I look back at my main camera guy, and it looked like someone had a 5 gallon pail full of water, and they were just chucking it on his camera, on him. Like, he was soaked. So there's definitely going to be some good shots and some good content to show the viewers. But yeah, it was a grind. So probably the moose and probably Sylvan Lake fishing are going to be some pretty intense episodes, I would say.
Something you wouldn't think of
No.
is fishing as being physically and mentally testing. But
Have you?
I guess when you're out on a big lake in a smaller boat and the
Yeah,
wind whips up, I've been there myself.
it gets pretty intense. Have you done much sturgeon fishing ever?
I've sturgeon fished. Yes,
Yeah,
they are. It's unreal. You
dude.
set the hook and it's like you're fighting a log.
I think the quickest I was able to land one was 45 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. So like
Yep.
the day after sturgeon fishing, my arms were just jelly.
Let's do some fun stuff.
Sure.
Some rapid fire.
All right.
What's one piece of gear you'd never leave behind?
One piece of gear I would never leave behind. Well, my camera. I mean, standard as far as gear, I gotta go with a good rain jacket.
Yeah,
I
good call.
I don't like being wet in the field. I've
Yeah,
done it a lot. I've done it enough to know that it's not fun. So when I can, I make sure that my rain gear is on point.
perfect. Most underrated game animal.
I have to go with I gotta go with turkey, man. I love the
Yeah.
turkey. I know a lot of guys that, it's just a bird. It's not just a bird, man. If you've tried to hunt turkey, you'll
Yep.
fall in love with it your first hunt. I love turkey. It's underrated. The meat is incredible.
Yeah.
I would say the only secret to wild turkey meat is you have to brine it.
Yes.
Brine it,
Yes.
and you're golden. Yeah,
Yeah. We brined it and smoked it. My buddy had one for us to try. And then we tried one piece that wasn't brined. It was just,
it's tough.
it was tough.
Yeah.
What's favorite comfort food after a long, brutal hunt?
You know what? I got to go with probably some elk sausage, or yeah, I'm going to go with elk sausage. I've
Perfect.
been enjoying that a lot.
Early mornings or late night for hunting?
I like my early mornings. A lot of animals on the move in the morning.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, I know Beyond the Blind premieres on Wild TV on July 1st.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about episode 1. What does it mean to have a Canadian made show on a Canadian network?
Having a Canadian show on Canada television, again, it's kind of a dream in a way. We've all grown up in the '90s watching, Canadian television, and that's kind of what the whole Hinterland Who thing. I think that's will happen on the network that we're going to be on. That's, to me, that's it. Again, it's just unreal, man. It's so cool.
Yeah, we do have some phenomenal Canadian trailblazers and trailbreakers on Wild TV, and I don't expect you're going to be any different, man. I have a feeling you're going to be around for a while. Yeah. So, what are your hopes for season 1 then?
Season 1, again, just it was a lot of learning for us. You'll notice a big jump in content quality in the first few episodes, and kind of figure out everything. But no, what I'm just hoping people take home from Beyond the Blind Hunts is, again, people that have never hunted or fished that want to get into this kind of lifestyle. I hope that they can watch our show and be like, hey, let's go do that. That's something we can do. And that's the whole point of this show, is just we want to show new hunters that, this is, again, you don't have to be hunting 10, 15, 20 years and have all that experience. It all starts somewhere, right? Every hunt tells a story is kind of our tagline, our motto for the show. And if you think about it, it couldn't speak truer. It applies for anything. Every hunt really does have a story. And even this past weekend, we got what I would call the Sylvan Lake Slam. I got every single species of fish in the lake in under 8 hours in open water. And then my nephew was able to catch his very first fish ever. Beautiful 27-inch pike.
Jesus.
It doesn't get much better than that.
No.
So
I love that, man. And it's great to have you along for the ride, and to have watched the evolution over the last year or so of a concept to, we are 5 weeks away from kickoff.
yeah.
It's finally here for you, brother, and I'm so stoked to have you along for the ride. So, any final messages to people before they see your show?
Well, you know what? I got to give a couple shout outs, if that's okay, Steve.
Absolutely.
A big shout out to my family. Could not have gotten anywhere this far with any of this without the support of my parents, my fiance, my kids, my family, and then just the sponsors for season 1, Steve. I'm sure landing sponsors for a season 1 of a show that's not premiered, it's tough. It's a tough gig. So we really are appreciative and thankful for all of our sponsors that have jumped on season 1. Thank you so much, you guys. And it's just, I couldn't have asked for a better crew. So big shout outs to Hugo, big shout outs to 10, my director of photographer, and my production assistant. They are killing it. And I couldn't be more thankful. Again, Steve, thank you for the opportunity. And we are excited to show Wild TV what Beyond the Blind Hunts is all about.
Oh, we're so stoked to have you. Where can somebody find you on socials when they want to check out more about you?
Sure. So we have Instagram right now, Beyond the Blind Hunts. Also, Justin Lilley MB is kind of my taglines right now. And then we're just working on a website and all that for launch and getting all that ready for the premiere. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Justin, again, huge thanks for joining me today. And I am so stoked to see this roll out, brother.
Awesome. Thanks again, Steve. Really appreciate that. And again, we will, I'm sure we will talk soon. And we got to get on a hunt soon, man.
We do. We do. We talked about it for a year. Let's make it so.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again on Wild Talk.
All right. Cheers.
Wild Talk, powered by Better Call Paul, is brought to you by Better Hunting, Better Stories, Better Call Paul. Umarex, Hunt with Air. Bronc Beer, great buckin' beer.